So we now have 2 episodes of Platinum End, and I'm still very excited for the future of this one. It's interesting having kind of like the opposite approach of Death Note, where someone willingly wanted to use the power granted in that show as its main central character. Where with Platinum End, we have a guy really just chasing after happiness after literally wanting to end his own life, and now is basically roped into a battle royale to compete who's gonna be God. And truthfully, as much as you might want to make the argument, well, should he succeed, he only has to kill probably 10 or 11 people, and even then, maybe he'll only have to kill a couple of people. That's clearly not his intentions, but even if he does end up becoming God doesn't really seem like that great of a goal, right? You kind of become God in either A, if you're a good person, you generally care about the happiness and well-being of all your people, which is impossible to make everyone happy without screwing up the world order, or you act like the supervillain in this show who's trying to pretend to be literally a superhero, but purposely wants to kill people and become God for self-indulging reasons. It's an interesting concept, and I'm glad that they're not just making Mirai just, like, abandon himself, because, like, I argued in the first episode's review that he had a genuine reason of being down in the dumps, and the fact that, he's very much wanting to follow in his mother's footsteps there and what she believed true happiness was. And it's something that really, the uncle, he used the red arrow to make him confess and turn himself in. He has the money, he can go to school, literally his life is shaped up perfectly, but if he abandons and relinquishes his candidate title, by removing the wings and arrows, he'll essentially be killing himself because those are what granted him a second chance at life. It's interesting because I really like what he did at the end of the episode, even though you knew it couldn't last. Like, I knew somehow he was going to be exposed, even if Nase wasn't, like, around him, because it's a good idea. If my angel's around me, I'm basically putting a target on my back. However, if they're not around, then the other candidates won't know I am a candidate. Though, didn't even cross my mind that the angels are a different story. And when he's walking to school, I thought what was going to happen was he stopped and the angel would look and be like, oh, someone can see me. But no, he carries on, and just like that literal slasher horror move where something pops up in a jump scare like moment, and I'm like, I have no idea how you're getting out of this one, but I'm excited to see what the hell happens. All I could assume is maybe his angel comes to the rescue, or he uses his wings to get the hell away. Maybe a bit of both, hard to say. I just love the idea of, like, they actually go into the rules here, and that's something I loved about Death Note too, is like the Death Note's rules, do's and don'ts, things like that, trial and error. And even if the mid-slate of the episodes, they actually give you a bit of information very quickly if you pause quick enough. But within the episodes, they eventually give it to you as well, like the idea of like the different rankings of angels. Some angels, which there might only be 3 or 4 in terms of like the S rank, have the wings and both arrows. A ranks, different 1 arrow, 1 wing, blah blah blah, though A ranks can be promoted to S ranks. And the idea that the first person who ended up dead was literally granted the abilities because his angel had no interest in playing this game. Because God is basically saying, I'm old, I'm tired, young blood can take over. I tried to be a good person, I'm done with this shit. So, you know what, Battle Royale, because I'm God. I just don't give a shit if a few hundred, few thousand people die, because you know what? Humanity will still be there at the end of the day. And the idea that this whore, this comedian, is using his arrows to basically make idols fall in love with him and basically just sleep with him. He's like the ultimate virgin otaku ever. And the idea that his angel purposely like let him do all this because he just wanted him to die. Like, he was literally painting a target on his back by not only having his angel above him during TV, because he just wanted him gone so he could go back and just be a normal lazy bum basically up in heaven, which I don't blame him, because this is definitely going to be, unless you have like a very good connection with your partner there, like, this could very well be something that you just don't want to deal with. And the idea that I saw some people last week talk about how like this almost like Mega Man looking character, like what was his deal? I thought the suit was just going to be like part of the abilities, but I do like the idea that there's wings, the red arrows, and there's white arrows, right? 2 very different things. To control, to kill, and to fly away. And if you fly away, that's the one way you won't get hurt. So there's enough like ways to defend yourself / overpower if you catch people off guard. that I really like how they're really detailing all the fundamentals. Like, a red arrow will only last 33 days, and you can't repeatedly use that arrow on someone, otherwise the time limit would be pointless. So, what's the purpose of, like, using it for love? Because that's probably, like, one of the most common thoughts if you have the ability to control, like what the scumbag did, just to the extreme. So, the idea that if they naturally, say, fall in love with you within that time limit, even when the arrow expires, the love would still be there. So it's like a form of Cupid's arrow without being full-on control past the 33-day time limit, which is pretty interesting. I mean, this show, I think, still has a lot of potential, and even though one of the 13 are now dead, it's something that probably after 2 to maybe 4 of them are dead, that's when things will get a little more slow and the weeds will have been kind of pulled away and just the strong will be out there. And it'll be interesting because naturally we know our main character is going to have to kill at some point. Do I think it's right now? I don't think so. I kind of feel like the idea of someone who's to the public's eye being a superhero, but what he's doing is just, he's evil, he's playing God, and that's ultimately what he's fighting for. So I think he could last an arc, but maybe past that I'm not totally sure. But it's interesting because this man is really just doing his best to find happiness, but he's locked down. And the biggest question I personally have is why is it that his angel is so fixated on Mirai? Because seemingly that's whose happiness she's been fighting for this whole time, even before she naturally chose him. So that's going to be interesting. Do I trust really anyone? No, because we know trusting people we just met in a series like this from a creator who is as twisted as this is, you're just asking for a rude awakening. But I have to say, the past couple of episodes of Platinum End have been an absolute blast. Loving the opening, loving the ending, loving the characters first and foremost, and yeah, it can be goofy at times with like Mega Man superhero looking characters, but the fact that they're kind of like mocking it all at the same time I think is kind of brilliant. As always, I would ask what everyone is feeling about Platinum End, and I would also like to know, is this series hooking you in like maybe some of the creators' past work? Because that's always up in the air, right? You know, a creator who's popular, made a big hit, made multiple big hits in the case of this one. Sometimes you do get a lot of those comparisons, and even though like I'm doing comparisons in these videos, it's not something to like negate from what Platinum End's doing. I'm just thinking because often when a creator tries to remake something like their big hit, which would be Death Note, it just feels too much like a copy and paste, but here I don't feel that. Like, I have my feelings about how the main character's goals are completely opposite, which is really cool, which then in return lets an author really explore outside their traditional kind of mindset of how they might write something like this with killing and things like that, and angels and gods and demons, oh my. So I love that type of stuff myself, but it's an interesting question I definitely think for the community behind Platinum End, so let me know your feelings down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.